Do you know what it looks like when the Spirit of Christ is at work? Did you know that the book of Zechariah provides us with some insight? I'm Caleb Abernathy. I'm one of the pastors at Christ Memorial Church. And we've been working this week through the book of Zechariah, which is a book all about the coming of the Messiah and the Messianic age. We see here in chapter 12, the text before us today, that the coming age of the Messiah will be one in which the Spirit is poured out. Listen to chapter 12, verse 10. "And I will pour out on the house of David and the inhabitants of Jerusalem a spirit of grace and pleas for mercy, so that when they look on me, on him whom they have pierced, they shall mourn for him, as one mourns for an only child, and weep bitterly over him, as one weeps over a firstborn." So the Spirit is poured out on God's people, and what's the result? They look on the Lord whom they've pierced, and they weep over him as for an only son. Now, this is in contrast to chapter 7 earlier in the book, when people were fasting and mourning insincerely. The Lord condemned them for that. But here they're genuinely sorrowful over their sin against the Lord. And the nation isn't left to wallow in their sin. Let's keep reading in chapter 13, verse 1. "On that day there shall be a fountain opened for the house of David and the inhabitants of Jerusalem to cleanse them from sin and uncleanness." A cleansing fountain is opened for their sin, for their idolatry. It's removed from them. Now we know that this text finds fulfillment in Jesus Christ. In John chapter 19 verse 37, it's clear that Jesus is the Lord who took on flesh so that he might be pierced. And he is the Davidic son, the beloved son of the Father. His disciples looked upon him when he was pierced on the cross. And when Jesus grants his Spirit to his people, they see him pierced with the eyes of faith. Before our eyes, Jesus is publicly portrayed as crucified in the preaching of the gospel. And then we mourn over our sins. We recognize it was our sins that put him there. We're cut to the heart like the crowd at Pentecost, and we say, "What shall we do?" But that's not all the Messiah, Jesus, does for us. It's not only conviction of sin. He also provides a cleansing fountain by his death. 1 John tells us that if we confess our sins, God is faithful and just to forgive us from our sins and cleanse us from all unrighteousness. There is a fountain filled with blood drawn from Emmanuel's veins, and sinners plunged beneath that flood lose all their guilty stains. And that's a reason to be glad this morning.